Okay, today we're going to talk about Chapter 3 of Prayer, the Art of Believing by Neville Goddard. Chapter 3, Imagination and Faith. More or less what he's going to talk about in this is your ability to picture something and your ability to hold that image as if it was true before it was true. Prayers are not successfully made unless there is a rapport between the conscious and subconscious mind of the operator. This is done through imagination and faith. By the power of imagination, all men, certainly imaginative men, are forever casting forth enchantments, and all men, especially unimaginative men, are continually passing under their power. Can we ever be certain that it is not our mother, while darning our socks, who began that subtle change in our minds? If I can unintentionally cast an enchantment over persons, there is no reason to doubt that I am able to cast intentionally a far stronger enchantment. So what he's saying is we can influence other people. Why can we not influence the world? Why cannot we not influence ourselves? And really what he's saying here is somebody that can actively change their perception of themselves is somebody that can actively change their life. But if you can't, then you will forever be subject to the tides of the world, the way the world goes. Something bad happens to you, you only see bad. You respond with bad. It's like breaking the chain of karma. Buddha said that your actions ring into eternity, more or less meaning that somebody does something bad to you, then you take that pain, you take that anger, and you take that suffering and you put that on someone else, and then that person puts it on someone else. But the cycle ends when you break it yourself. The cycle ends where you take that pain, that suffering, whatever it is that happened to you, and you turn it into something good. Everything that can be seen, touched, explained, argued over is to the imaginative man nothing more than a means, for he functions by reason of his controlled imagination in the deep of himself, where every idea exists in itself and not in relation to something else. In him there is no need for the restraint of reason. Okay, so really what Neville's saying here is that he accepts William Blake's worldview. He accepts everything William Blake said, because what he's saying is that everything is first imagined. Everything exists in imagination first, and then is brought into reality, brought into the world. If you don't believe me, look towards anything in front of you. Can you think of anything? Can you see anything that was not once first imagined? And you can spend your entire life doing this, but you'll never find an example of something that wasn't first imagined. For the only restraint he can obey is the mysterious instinct that teaches him to eliminate all moods other than the mood of the fulfilled desire. Imagination and faith are the only faculties of the mind needed to create objective conditions. The faith required for the successful operation of the law of consciousness is a purely subjective faith, and is attainable upon the cessation of active opposition on the part of the objective mind of the operator. It depends on your ability to feel and accept as true what your objective senses deny. Neither the passivity of the subject nor his conscious agreement with your suggestion is necessary, for without his consent or knowledge he can be given a subjective order which he must objectively express. It is a fundamental law of consciousness that by telepathy we have immediate communion with another. So what he's saying here is, let's say you got into an argument with your boss, let's say you got into an argument with somebody. Simply imagining that conversation to go different, simply accepting a different way of viewing this person will immediately change your response with this person. If you don't believe me, think of the last argument you had, whether it's your friend, whether it's your whatever it is. Imagine that conversation to have gone different. Forget the instance of it going wrong, and then talk again with that person. See how they react. Are they reacting like somebody that's pissed off? Well, if they are, then you didn't do this right. But the truth is, if you change the perception of the way you see somebody, they will change next time you interact with them. To establish rapport, you can call the subject mentally, focus your attention on him, and mentally shout his name, just as you would to attract the attention of anyone. Imagine that he answered and mentally hear his voice. Represent him to yourself inwardly in the state you want him to obtain. Then imagine that he is telling you in the tone of ordinary conversation what you want to hear. Mentally answer him. Tell him of your joy in witnessing his good fortune, having mentally heard with all the distinctness of reality that which you wanted to hear, and having thrilled to the news heard Return to objective consciousness. Your subjective conversation must awaken what it affirmed. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. It is not a strong will that sends the subjective word on its mission so much as it is clear thinking and feeling the truth of the state affirmed. When belief and will are in conflict, belief invariably wins. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, said the Lord of hosts. What he's saying here is, it doesn't matter how much you think about it if your mind is cloudy. It's more so the emotion, it's more so the feeling, it's more so the depth and the clarity of it. It's like trying to meditate and continually trying to meditate. You have a thought in your head and you're like, I need to get rid of this thought, I need to get rid of this thought, I need to get rid of this thought. You're never going to get rid of the thought that way. The only way to get rid of the thought is to rebuke it, is to stop thinking, is to calm yourself down, is to allow it to pass. The more you linger on something, the more it ceases to exist. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them. The acceptance of the end wills the means, and the wisest reflection could not devise a more effective means than those which are willed by the acceptance of the end. Mentally talk to your friends as though your desires for them were already realized. So what he's saying is, believe it to be true already. Believe the end to have already occurred. And what you're doing by this is, you're acting as if it's already happened. You're acting as if you already have the experience. You're approaching the problem as if it's already been solved. And how much easier is it to exist knowing that you can solve a problem? Have you ever been stressed out about something and you're so stressed out about it that you can't tackle the problem? How are you ever going to get the right answer that way? What Neville's teaching you to do is respond and use your intuition. Respond and use your creativity. Respond and use the endless capacity of the human mind. Imagination is the beginning of growth of all forms, and faith is the substance out of which they are formed. By imagination, that which exists in latency or is asleep within the deep of consciousness is awakened and is given form. The cures attributed to the influence of certain medicines, relics, and places are the effects of imagination and faith. The curative power is not in the spirit that is in them, it is in the spirit in which they are accepted. Think of the placebo effect. Think of the idea of people being told they're going to get better and then they just get better. The letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. The subjective mind is completely controlled by suggestion, so whether the object of your faith be true or false, you will get the same results. There's nothing unsound in the theory of medicine or in the claims of priesthood for the relics and holy places. The subjective mind of the patient accepts the suggestion of health conditioned on such states, and as soon as these conditions are met, proceeds to realize health. He's talking about the placebo effect, the classic studies of people getting a sugar pill and believing that they got some sort of treatment and becoming better. Placebo effect is something that's not really understood, and it's because people don't accept the power of the mind. They don't accept the mind's capacity to control everything about yourself. Think about it. You don't breathe consciously. Your heart doesn't beat consciously. Most of the functions of your body just occur. But what is signaling these things? It's your brain. Very simple line of reasoning, but this is really what he's mentioning. According to your faith, be it done unto you, for all things possible to him that believeth. Confident expectation of a state is the most potent means of bringing it about. The confident expectation of a cure does that which no medical treatment can accept. Failure is always due to an antagonistic autosuggestion by the patient, arising from the objective doubt of the power of medicine or relic, or from doubt of the truth of the theory. Many of us, either from too little emotion or too much intellect, both of which are stumbling blocks in the way of prayer, cannot believe that which our senses deny. To force ourselves to believe will end in greater doubt. To avoid such counter-suggestion, the patient should be unaware objectively of the suggestions which are made to him. The most effective method of healing or influencing the behavior of other consists in what is known as the silent or absent treatment. When the subject is unaware objectively of the suggestion given him, there is no possibility of him setting up an antagonistic belief. It is not necessary that the patient know objectively that anything is being done for him from what is known of the subjective and objective processes of reasoning, it is better that he should not know objectively of what is being done for him. Okay, so I'm going to clarify this right now. What Neville's talking about is imagining your friends, your loved ones, the people in your life to have a better life than they already have now. And he's saying, don't tell them, don't do anything except believe, have faith. And really what he's doing is trying to bring up others. Because if you bring up others, you bring up yourself. When we talk about Neville Goddard, most people think about themselves. Most people think about the things they can do. But it's really more so about lifting up people. Because if you can be all you can be, then you can be everything for everyone else. And it's vice versa. If you can lift up the people around you, they will lift you up as well. And what he's saying to do is imagine somebody having a better life. Imagine somebody living better. And simply through doing this, whether it's placebo, whether it's actually a metaphysical law, who cares? It's going to overall change the way that you see this person, and it's overall going to inspire them to be exactly what you want them to be. The more completely the objective mind is kept in ignorance of the suggestion, the better will the subjective mind perform its function. So the subject subconsciously accepts the suggestion and thinks he originates it, proving the truth of Spinoza's dictum that we know not the causes that determine our actions. Spinoza basically, through logic, proved the existence of God. One of the most interesting things I've ever read. That's just an aside, but it's definitely something to check out. The subconscious mind is the universal conductor which the operator modifies with his thought and feelings. Visible states are either the vibratory effects of subconscious vibrations within you, or they are vibratory causes of the corresponding vibrations within you. A disciplined man never permits them to be causes unless they awaken in him the desirable states of consciousness. What he said there is very important. The disciplined man does not give credit to thoughts that he does not want to feel about himself. So we all have negative thoughts, no matter how positive you are. It's just the difference in somebody that is broken by negative thoughts and somebody that's completely ignorant of negative thoughts is the amount of attention you give to them. Really, the most powerful tool you have is your attention. What you spend your time doing, what you focus your mind on, is what you will see multiply in your life. And if you constantly are dwelling on negativity, then you're constantly going to see more negativity. With a knowledge of the law of reversibility, the disciplined man transforms his world by imagining and feeling only what is lovely and of good rapport. The beautiful idea he awakens within himself shall not fail to arouse its affinity in others. He knows the Savior of the world is not a man, but the manifestation that would save. The sick man's Savior is health, the hungry man's food, the thirsty man's Savior is water. He walks in the company of the Savior by assuming the feeling of his wish fulfilled. By the law of reversibility, that all transformations of force are reversible, the energy or feeling awakened transforms itself into the state imagined. He never waits 4 months for the harvest. If in 4 months the harvest will awaken in him a state of joy, then inversely the joy of harvest now will awaken the harvest now. Now is the acceptable time to give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Okay, that was a pretty interesting chapter. Really what he was talking about here was consciously changing your ideas about others, consciously changing your ideas about yourself, and the power that holds. So, more or less, what you need to understand is that creativity and imagination means nothing without persistence, without faith. And all faith is belief without proof, belief without your senses confirming that. But in order to change your state, you must deny your senses. In order to think you can be better, you must deny your current capabilities. And really what Neville's saying is have faith in the unseen. Have faith in the things that are not here yet. Because the more you have faith in these ideas, the more they will harden into fact. The more they will begin to become true. Whether you think this is some, self-help stuff or some metaphysical stuff, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. The important part is that if you have faith that things can get better, if you have faith in the image of yourself of an improved person, then you are already well on your way to becoming that person. And all it takes is simply just spending enough time with that idea, spending enough time with that reality, falling asleep with this image of yourself to solidify it into reality. That said, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. I will continue to work through this book. I think there's 6 chapters to this. Maybe there's more. I'm also going to get back to the, Psycho-Cybernetic series. I've just been procrastinating that for whatever reason, but love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one.